You're watching Football Daily.
Why did you point? And this is the winners and losers special.
Mine is Man City, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool.
I'm going Man City, Man United, Tottenham and Liverpool.
I just think Chelsea and Liverpool will get in there because they've got no European football. And there'll be a massive advantage for the two of them, and I can't see the two Manchester clubs missing out.
I think Arsenal could struggle. A lot of people might say, well, that's because it's your former club's got nothing to do with it. I just think, as Jamie says, Liverpool and no European football makes a big difference. I think Tottenham have got the best back four in the league. They've got a very good goalkeeper. They've got probably as good a midfield as anyone, and obviously Dyer. And I think you can name their 11. It really helps. When you look at the other side, I'm not sure any other manager really knows their best 11. Yeah. Whereas I think when Pochettino looks at his squad, he knows what he's got. It's just whether European football has a bit of an impact on them. But I think Tottenham will do really well again. I backed Aguero last year, so I thought 3-1. I think he was at the start of the year, and then you've got Kane had a great run. Obviously, it looked like Vardy was going to do it at one stage. The one player that I would be looking at if he gets his move is Lukaku. If he gets to maybe he gets to Chelsea, because he got to 18 goals I think last year. It looked at one stage like he was going to win it, but then when Everton started to go, it affected him. He stopped scoring goals. But if he went to Chelsea, I'm not sure if he'll play every week because obviously because of Costa. But he's certainly he would be the outsider that I'd look at. I think Andre Gray will get goals at Burnley. Just whether he gets the opportunities, that's the problem. Callum Wilson will get goals at Bournemouth. Absolutely fit now. He'll get you 10, 12 goals. But this year I think 7-1. Harry Kane looks the value for me.
You think of the money getting spent, you think of the performances Joe Allen put in the Euros. I think, what did Stoke get him for? 10, 12 million.
Yeah, good point.
In terms of price wise on the back of those performances, but he'd been at Liverpool for 4 or 5 years, hadn't quite sort of ever established himself, cost 15 million then, but I think for Stoke to get him on the back of those performances in the summer when he's as good as anyone in that Welsh team, that'll be hopefully, because I don't think he's a good lad, he's a good player. Hopefully he does well for them. Hopefully that's a bargain for them.
Clubs are paying £30 million for players, but that would have been the £10 million players a few years ago, and that's how the game has gone really. I think Mane, although he's going to be very expensive, is exactly what Liverpool need. Yeah. I watch Liverpool play, and Jamie would see him more than I would, but when I look at Liverpool, I look at so many players that want the ball to feet. I see Coutinho, Firmino, Lallana, everyone loves to come out number 10 role, but how many players want to run without it? And that's why I see in Mane, he's not interested in, yes, he'll do his little bits of skill and in that little area, but he fundamentally wants to go behind and score goals, and that's what Liverpool really need. No Champions League football as well for Liverpool. I think they could go really close.
You can't say it's good business from Manchester United's point of view, in that they've had him, he's gone for whatever reason, they're buying him back for that much money, but one, it's not the player's fault, the transfer fee, it's nothing to do with him. But also, what you've got to understand is the money that's generated by Premier League clubs, and especially Manchester United, they're just a money-making machine. It's not going to hit them financially. It doesn't mean they can't buy someone next season. They'll carry on and buy someone, maybe not for that price, but they'll still spend big. If a player comes in and performs, he's worth it. You can buy someone for 10 million, he's awful, he's a waste of money, wasted 10 million. If he comes in and does the job, listen, people can say it's too much money, but if they get the player that they want and he takes them to where they want to be, and I think for him to be classed as worth it, he's probably got to do what Frank Lampard done for Chelsea, Steven Gerrard done for Liverpool, Yaya Toure done for Manchester City, that powerhouse midfielder who drives forward, gets goals and takes the team to success, and then he will be worth it. But from Manchester United's point of view, it's not going to skimp the club. They make that much money selling shirts, advertising, sponsorship deals, so I don't think you should be too worried about how much it's cost.
First and foremost, it's an astronomical fee. I agree with that, but is he a great player? Absolutely, I think he will be. I think he can come into this league and rip it up. I genuinely believe that, having watched him. I don't think he had the best Euros, but what it shows you now, the game is, and Jamie touched on it, is exactly right. It's show business now. This is football, and for the old guard, they might go, of course he's not worth that, he doesn't do this, doesn't do that. But I've got an 11-year-old kid and a 12-year-old and a 7-year-old. They love Paul Pogba. They want to see the boots that he's wearing. They want to see the kits that he's got, the haircuts, the dabs, and everything that goes with it. And that's what he brings to the league. Now, it's great having all the best managers, but we've got to have the best players as well. Because otherwise we're talking about all the best players being in Spain and this, that and the other. We say, yeah, this is the best league, but we need the best players.
We've been complaining for years, you said about getting the best players. Gareth Bale goes to Real Madrid for a similar amount of money, Cristiano Ronaldo leaves, Xabi Alonso leaves, Luis Suarez leaves, and we complain. And now we're buying someone who those two clubs probably wanted, or maybe they couldn't fit him in the team. Yeah, exactly. But we're getting a player who could play for one of those teams, right, you know, and come into the Premier League. Yeah, he's going to Manchester United, unfortunately, and not Liverpool. But we're getting our top player in a position, our player anyone in the world probably was looking at the last 12, 18 months, and he's coming to the Premier League. So let's try and enjoy him. You know, we've lost too many great players.
I can't. You know, the player that I'm looking forward to seeing him up against is like Dele Alli. Now, if I was Dele Alli, I'd be thinking, everyone's talking about this Paul Pogba guy. I can be as good as him, because last year he showed what a tremendous talent he is. Can he go to that next level? Because I think those two can almost vie for being the top young midfield player in the country next year. They're very similar players. I think Dele Alli has all the attributes to be as good, if not better, than Paul Pogba.
I don't think he'll get as good, or I just think he's got the physical attributes that I think Dele Alli's a brilliant player, but I think Paul Pogba's got physical attributes that are like, he's like a beast. He's like.
Do you think he'll get more goals than Dele Alli?
Well, I think Dele Alli will play more in number 10 position. I think he'll play more central midfield. That's the thing with Pogba, about the price tag. You just don't normally see, you normally associate, as you just mentioned, their goals and assists with players who cost that much money. Now, how many goals can you really expect from a central midfield player? I mean, 10, 12, 15
if you're happy with that now, that's what like people
listen, you're happy with that. Well, of course, I think Dele Alli plays more of a number 10 role, doesn't he? Slightly different.
Yeah, I can't remember Paul Pogba scoring a goal when he took it over his head and flicked it in and volleyed it in like he did against Palace.
You've been raving about him.
I love him. I think he's a mate, but I'm raving about Dele Alli as well. I'm just saying, these are Paul Pogba against Dele Alli. That's what I want to go. If I was going to watch football, that's what I want to see. You know, that's because I play my position, but I would be thinking, I don't care what else happens. Yeah, Ibrahimovic great, but I want to see Pogba against Ali, and that's where really, that's where it's great to have these players here.
Listen, I mean, in terms of where it cut out, I think what Arsene Wenger's done over the last few years in terms of keeping Arsenal in the top four. You know, you're thinking you want more from Arsenal, he should be challenging for the title, maybe winning the title. But I think he'll have his work cut out and getting Arsenal into the top four, but he's always managed to get themselves into. Because there's always been 5 or 6 teams going for that top four. And he's never had that bad season that every club seems to have had. Manchester United had it last few seasons, finishing 5th or 7th outside. Chelsea have had it. But I think this season, the fact that they haven't brought too many players in, brought one midfielder from Switzerland, the Swiss lad.
Xhaka,
yeah. I don't know if that'll be enough. And you think of the injuries they got at the back to start the season. Players who went really far in the European Championship, so I think Wenger always gives them 28 days from the last game. So maybe a few of them won't even start in the first 2 or 3 games. I think they've got it all on to finish top 4 this season.
I think if you were to say stop the transfer window as it stands now, I agree. I think that, but a lot can happen. You know, if Arsene Wenger pulls his finger out and goes and buys a couple of players, goes and buys a great centre back. I'm trying to think of the boy that was at Everton that played for Germany in the Euro.
Mustafi.
Yeah, Mustafi, someone like that, and all of a sudden they get a partnership going with him and Koscielny. Who knows what can happen? Or they go and buy another centre forward. Although you're plucking names out the air because most of the good players are already signed for their respective clubs, so it's not that easy. Then things can change. But you know, there's going to be 3 top-class managers that aren't going to make the top 4. You know, it doesn't mean they're bad managers all of a sudden. It just means that the competition is so big this year, and it's going to be the hardest ever to get in the top 4. I mean, every manager now, no matter or Mourinho, Pep Guardiola, if you said to them sign for 4th or even 3rd, I think that most of them would. Yeah. You know, because that's how big the getting in the top 4 is.
I think if Leicester finished top 8, they've had a great season. Yeah. They obviously lost Kante. I think it was a massive player for them. European football, it's not just the extra games, they have more injuries now just because you have more games, so that was a massive part for it last season, because they had the same team virtually every week. That can't happen because you have to rotate. The Tinkerman will have to come back at times next season, and they'll have more injuries. Who knows if another player will move on as well, maybe Mahrez. But if they could finish in the top 8, I think it's another great season for them.
I think they'll do really well, and it feels a bit disrespectful to say they can't win the league or won't finish in the top 4. But I agree with Jamie, Kante's a huge loss. When I look at Leicester last year, Kante and Drinkwater were just incredible. You know, in the position that I played, and I think about all the great teams and great midfield. You know, you look at Vieira and Petit that had that telepathic understanding of where each other was. They had that last year with those two. They were incredible. I'm looking forward to seeing how Musa does. I mean, for what I've seen in pre-season, he's a flying machine. He'll score goals, and you add that to what they've already got up front with Okazaki and Vardy. They've got lovely, real genuine pace. People have to be really patient, not just with Leicester, with Chelsea, with Man City, with Man United, all the teams that can win the title. Managers are going to come under a lot of pressure, probably more than they've ever come under in their lives, because it's going to be so competitive, James, isn't it, next year? You mentioned Palace earlier.
Yeah, I just think Palace at times last season I really liked them, and I couldn't believe the drop off in them for whatever reason. Maybe the FA Cup played a part, but I think with Andros Townsend, I think Thompson's coming in at the back. I think they've signed a goalkeeper from France as well, so they've done a lot of business early. And I think it's a tough place to go, Palace. Any team going there now. Before on Pardew's time, I think Tony Pulis made it like that as well. So it's a tough place to go and expect a lot more from Palace this season. So I think they'll be more closer to top 8 than sort of the bottom 8 what they were last season.
I think the obvious ones are West Ham, Southampton, but the team that I like, my former club, I think Bournemouth have invested well. They've got good players. They already had a good work ethic there. I like the way they managed to get some playing. I think Jordan Ibe can be a revelation down there as long as his attitude's right. I think there's a couple of question marks on why Liverpool let him go, but he's got pace, he's got strength, and under Eddie Howe, who will, there's no doubt at all, he works with young players and improves them. Eddie Howe can do that with him, and if he gets his head right, he's got all the attributes to be an England regular in a few years, because he's got real power. If you're a fullback or someone and you see someone that's running at you with that pace and 13 stone, it's not easy to stop. So hopefully Bournemouth do really well, and I don't see them as relegation candidates. I see them really pushing on, and I think from Eddie's point of view, if he has another good year, then sooner or later the top 4 club will come calling for him.
I think the first place you've got to look at Hull. I mean, you always look at the promoted teams, but I think Burnley will find it difficult, as they did last time out. I think Sean Dyche's a really good manager. I really like him, but unfortunately the people above, or whatever, it's club policy, they haven't invested. They didn't invest last time, and you're asking a lot. I think the teams coming up, I think Middlesbrough have maybe got more chance of staying up than the other two because of a lack of investment at Burnley and just the shambles that's going on at Hull, really. To lose a manager so close to the season, still not appointed anyone. I think they've got lots of injuries, haven't invested as well, so I think those two certainly. And who else could you say out there? I mean, listen, anyone. There's always someone one season who
I think maybe look at Sunderland every year, dance with the devil.
Yeah.
But I think they should be okay. I think you've got West Brom. They're not an exciting side to watch, but they just always seem to manage to get to 40 points. But I remember last year, if you were asking me to predict last year who was going to go down, Leicester I think were pretty much in everyone's fault. So anything can happen, but I still think that those teams that have come up have got it all to do to stay up.
The Manchester derby, just the Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho, and because it takes you back to those Barcelona, Real Madrid games were just, they were probably the highest level of football I think I've probably ever seen. Higher than international football, the best players in the world there, possibly the 2 best managers there, no one willing to give an inch, everything, the quality on show, and just how either managers set, because there's a massive rivalry between the two clubs, but between the two managers, of course there is. Massive egos, they want to be the top dog, not just Manchester but the Premier League, and I think how both teams set up on the day, who they play, how they try and if you remember Jose Mourinho in Madrid, he put Pepe in midfield basically to try and kick Xavi and Iniesta off the pitch. That was his way of stopping them because he couldn't compete football wise. Now maybe he feels his squad or his team are as good as Man City and he can take them on football wise, so that'll be interesting to see how those 2 games this season.
But it's an interesting point. If he can do that at Real Madrid, who have a philosophy of playing great football, he can do it at Man United. Forget the tradition and all the wingers, and we all hear the ex-players telling us about how Man United should play, and he don't care. He'll want winning football, and that's where he'll bring to Man United. And obviously that's the game that I'm looking forward to as well. But the Northwest, I'm looking forward to get Klopp against Mourinho. I don't want to see them all matey though. I want to see them all falling out and having a bit of row on the touchline, because I want to see Klopp bouncing up and down like he does, and then Jose bumping into him. That's what he wants. I'm looking forward to seeing Jose against Wenger as well. That's always interesting because they like each other, those two, don't they? Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure you join us. 126 games on Sky Sports this season. It's going to be one of the best ever.
Every game.